Have you ever been sitting at the helm and been looking at those new Foundry engrams, wondering if they're worth focusing? Well, Season of the Plunder saw 4 new weapons added to the game via these engrams, and today we're going to talk about whether they're worth your time to farm as a PvE player. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Joey attempts to review every single weapon in Season of the Plunder. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Foundry weapons added with Season 18, which, as you saw in the intro, can be focus farmed by decrypting Umbral engrams, but there are also an RNG drop that you can get via the world loot pool at just about any time. This video is strictly dedicated to the new weapons added this season, but if you'd like to see reviews on every single weapon inside the Foundry Umbral engrams, I'll have 2 separate videos linked in the description, as new weapons were added in both Risen and Haunted respectively. With all that said, and with a quick shout out to 𝗵𝗡ster on Twitter for using my code on 𝗵𝗡𝗍𝗔, and if you'd like to use my code on 𝗵𝗡𝗍𝗔, you can check the link in the description. Let's jump into this. As usual with these videos, I like to review the best weapons first, and as we go down the list, they get progressively, well, not as good, so I don't waste your time. That said, let's kick off today's video with the best weapon available, and that is the 𝗧𝗏𝗏 4FR. This linear fusion is not only an absolute meta pick right out the gates, but is also one of the easiest god rolls you will ever get your hands on. If you haven't already, go to the Enclave and go to the left side of the crafting bench, and you should have what is essentially a starter quest that shows you the basics of how crafting works. Progress through this quest as you would any other, and it'll actually reward you with 2 red box taipans by the end of it, allowing you to craft one of your own. If you own the Forsaken pack, all you have to do now is go to the 𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗂'𝗏 checkpoint in Last Wish to level it up, and you can craft the god roll outright with next to no effort whatsoever. Now, you're able to craft your taipan, so what exact role do you really go for here? Well, if you're a newer player and you're looking for a reliable linear to bring into raid content with your buddies, most notably King's Fall, because that's basically a linear fusion rifle to raid, then you should be crafting Triple Tap and Firing Line. This combined with the 𝗍𝗏𝗏 origin trait will make sure that your ammo economy isn't in shambles, while also pumping out a sizable 20% damage bonus when near allies. If you're like me, however, and already have Cataclysmic, for example, and have no issues whenever it comes to proccing bait and switch, you may want to craft a different role. That role in particular is going to be something along the lines of Triple Tap, Field Prep, or Clown Cartridge combined with Frenzy. This is the role I'm personally going to be crafting before October because it's the perfect role inside Grandmaster content. When Void Burn rolls around on a Nightfall for the week, this is pretty much going to be glued to my heavy slot, as matching a linear with the burn modifier just guarantees that you'll be chunking champions in the final boss with no problem. I always side with a perk like Frenzy inside GM content because Firing Line is simply too big of an ask when you need to stand next to your entire fire team to proc it, seeing as we don't have 3 other teammates lying around. And knowing GM content and the damage that can be dealt by enemies, standing too close can sometimes cause unexpected wipes. I always play it safe and go with Frenzy if I can, and I recommend you do so as well if you're planning on using this in GMs. Now, moving on over from the taipan, let's talk about a weapon that is by far the best of its archetype in the history of Destiny 2, and that is the Ammit AR2 450 auto. And don't let it being a 450 fool you, this is by far one of the best autos you can go with hands down right now. Also, quick pro tip, use the War Weary shader on this auto if you have it. The Ammit ammo liquid counter and the sights on this weapon are both orange because it's a solar weapon, and that shader perfectly matches up with it for some peak weapon fashion. Anyways, the Ammit AR2 is basically what you get when you give an auto rifle the ability to add clear, because what do we have on this weapon in terms of perks? Incandescent, but not just incandescent, enhanced incandescent, because this weapon is indeed craftable, which I do believe you even get one red border version of this from the Enclave quest we talked about earlier, so if you're still missing red borders, just focus the Ammit engram at the helm until you get it. At least that's what I did. Back to the perks though, obviously incandescent being on this weapon, enhanced no less, is a huge deal, but that's not the only perk we have to work with here. One for All is also there in that second column to choose from if you'd like a 35% damage bonus to fully spec into sheer bullet damage, but I highly recommend going the incandescent route here regardless. The first column perks are also fairly spicy, as we have Stats for All for that reload speed, Triple Tap for sustained damage, as well as Ambitious Assassin, which, might I remind you, got a buff this season, making it even more potent, and that's what I personally went for here on this weapon. The role I'm rocking is Enhanced Ambitious combined with Enhanced Incandescent, and those two perks combined make this weapon feel like a dream. If I'm playing on Titan, I'm also able to stack damage buffs alongside my auto rifle using Path of the Burning Steps, and I can also make sunspots on enemies I kill due to my aspect. When rocking Warlock, I like to run Dawn Chorus, as that makes the Scorch of Incandescent much more potent, allowing the ad clear to just go nuts. And when I'm on Hunter, well, I just run 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏, so no solar there. Regardless, Ammit is an absolute must-have auto rifle for just about anybody, and is one of my favorite picks that have come out of the season by far. Up next for today, we finally move on to a weapon that is in the kinetic slot, and this gun might be a fairly nice pick for many people that don't currently raid here in D2, and that is the 𝗁𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 22 900 RPM SMG. For those of you that might not have a submission, for example, whether that be for reasons of RNG, not owning Witch Queen, etc., the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 isn't a bad pick at all when it comes to scratching that itch of a 900 RPM kinetic. Taking a look at the perks we have on this thing, in the first column we have picks like Perpetual Motion and Ambitious Assassin, with the second column featuring Pugilist, Demo, Swashbuckler, and Multi-Kill Clip. Now, in my personal experience as someone that's been using this SMG with Demo, I personally feel that it needs a damage boost, so I would prioritize either Swash or Multi-Kill Clip if you can. My roll has Demo on it, and while that's nice, the bullet damage just leaves a little bit to be desired, so I'd lean more so towards damage if you can help it. The perks on this SMG overall aren't out of this world amazing, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is still a reliable pick for those that may not have better options available to them. Finally, to end the video off, we make our way to the 𝗁𝗍 weapon of the list, and that massive pile of disappointment is the Boudica-C. I think it's Boudica. I think that's how you pronounce. Anyways, you guys know my feelings towards sidearms. I damn near hate all of them, with a few exceptions being Drang, Brigand's Law, and some of the burst/full auto ones. Boudica-C here is neither a burst nor full auto, and also doesn't come with any ad clear perks like Brigands or Drang. Instead, it hogs up your kinetic slot, vibes with an excruciatingly ass RPM of 260, and is so mid that it makes Anthem look like a valid looter shooter. Too harsh? Anyways, I'm sure this weapon is good in PvP if you main controller, but that's not what this video is about. Here in PvE land, Boudica makes its landing as a very underwhelming weapon with fairly decent perks, but that can't exactly warrant its use over just about any other weapon in that kinetic slot. We have a few god rolls here on the Boudica that look good on paper. We have Threat Detector Surrounded, Stats for All, One for All, Pugilist Swashbuckler, as well as Ambitious Assassin and Frenzy. Really good perks here, but they go to waste on a kinetic sidearm that resides in a very bad archetype. Truth be told, I really wish that the perk pool for this sidearm got swapped with the SMG's perk pool, because having that SMG with something like Ambitious Frenzy or Pugilist Swashbuckler would have been a dream. Anyways, with that all said and done, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's video. Another 4 weapons of the season have now been reviewed by ya boy, and the next video that is going to be coming up is going to be my playlist weapons video, which normally has about 11 to 12 weapons in it. So it's going to be a long one, and it might be a few days before my next video, so just give me some time. That one is going to be a big one that you do not want to miss out on. Anyways, before I end off, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone that watched the video up until this point, as it helps support the channel way more than you know. And as always, shout out to my Patreon supporters that you can see on screen here, with special thanks going to my tier 2s, Onrock, Admus, Vile John, and Homebase Serenity, as well as my tier 3s, Austin, Cinco, and Galumia. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.